Let me too feel better.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's to get ourselves a treat.
Hi, this is Bernie Rao, director of Killer Sofa, and you're watching the Howl Light Network.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Owl Light Picture Show. We got some special guests with us today. We got Rick Popko and Dan West, the co-writers and co-directors and creators of the illustrious Monsturd. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thanks, Raz. Thanks, gang. Happy to be here.
Oh, we already got some people popping in. Hey, Tom. So I got to be honest, man. Like, this is that movie for me. The movie that you tell all your friends and family about. The movie that you make them watch whether they want to or not, even if you've got to tie them to a chair. I ran across it back in 2003 at an after-party event at a convention over in Cleveland, and the guy was just playing it in his room in the background. And I ignored the whole party. I was high as hell, and I just sat down and watched this movie about the monster turd, and until it showed up on Netflix years after, like, I thought that it was a fever dream, like it was a thing that didn't actually happen. I just somehow made it up in my brain because that's how my brain is. And then once it hit Netflix, man, it was like all these memories came coming back to me, and then I just started making everyone watch it. I've actually probably purchased 4 or 5 different copies, and just different things have happened to them over the years, but I usually always have a copy of it around just to show it with people. And this movie has got me through dark times. It's made me laugh when I didn't think I could laugh again. It's brightened my day. It's connected me with people. And just right off the rip, I just want to say thank you for making this, man. Like, both of you, seriously, thank you so much.
We don't get thanked a lot for that.
I honestly didn't think I was going to enjoy it because I was just like, seriously, a movie about Poop Monster? Okay. And I really enjoyed it. So it was like, yay! I was so happy. So yeah, I'm with Raz. Thank you so much for bringing something I didn't know I needed into my life.
And that's what it is. And we talk a lot about on Tomb of the Terrible and in this show about how there's a lot that goes into film that people don't think about, that people just don't pay attention to. You see a movie, it's so easy to review it and tear it down, or say it's your favorite movie ever without even knowing anything about it. But there's always a story behind every movie, but behind every concept, behind everything. And it's the fact that people are coming together to create something that outlasts them, things that people remember, things that, make people like me excited because of, all the history that I have of watching it and showing people and all the connections I've made because of it. And that is the greatest thing to me about film, regardless, is those connections you make over a film like this.
Well, it's amazing you mentioned that, because the fact that we're sitting here talking to you guys is pretty amazing, right? To create something that then in turn inspires this, where it's like, I've never met any of you guys in my life,
right?
But somehow we're all connected with this one movie now, which is really kind of cool in its own world. I mean, one of the things that's amazed me is that, Monsturd has gone around the world. It's been distributed in countries I've never been to. I mean, for God's sakes, it's in Poland, and people are doing reviews of it in Polish. And I'm like, dude, I've never been to Poland, but the Monsturd has. I mean, the Monsturd's been around the world, and it just blows my mind. I mean, in fact, there was a review, I was watching the other day. I think it was Spanish or Portuguese.
It's in
Portuguese, right? This one guy's review has more than 1 million views. I mean, this guy spent a half an hour reviewing Monsturd, and he has 1 million views. Now, if you look at our trailer on YouTube in the US, right? Our trailer, I think it has 40,000 views. So, I mean, it's amazing. So
that is epic, man. Like, it was really shocking to us because, like, it was like I said, like, within a couple days of us doing the Tomb of the Terrible episode about it. You found me online and sent me an email, and I just had to stop for a second and go, wait, what? And I probably read it like 3 or 4 times, and then I took a screenshot just so everyone would believe me, and I put it in our group chat, it's still a file in our group chat today, actually.
Well, the thing is, I do like to see how far it goes and if people are still talking about it. So yeah, I'll do Google searches just to see what's going on. I'll do like Monsturd. All right, any new reviews, any new things or whatever. Because I'm curious. It's like 20 years later, what does somebody have to say about the flick? So I enjoy it. And the reviews, like I read the good ones and the bad ones. I love them equally. Because what I love about having a movie that has good reviews and terrible reviews is then you have to see it for yourself, right? You're like going, man, this guy hated it. This guy loved it. Maybe I should check it out myself, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. I want to start with the most important first question. And I want to have you guys both answer this in whatever order you choose. How did Monsturd come to life? Like, what was the process behind creating this? Like, the initial concept.
You want me to take this one, Dan?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so Dan and I, we'd met in high school, and we were writing scripts in high school. Well, when we became seniors in high school, we actually got commissioned by Francis Coppola to write a script for his commercial pictures back in the day. The movie was shelved, never made, but we continue to write together, right? We've written, 5 to 7 scripts together, and we tried to get an agent, right? And we spent this one script. We finally got this one great idea, spent 2 years developing it, and it was so great. And we were like, dude, we got to get an agent. And so we started sending query letters out to Hollywood, and nothing came back. And I called one agency that I sent a query letter to, and I was like, hey, how long does it take to get a self-addressed stamped envelope back from you guys? And the woman said to me, if I had to send a self-addressed stamped envelope for every movie idea I get every day, it would be a full-time job. And I'm sorry, but I don't have time for that. And I was just like, well, what does a guy need to do to get his script read in this town? And she says, you can either know somebody we're already representing, or you can have some attachment to your project. And I was like, okay. So then it was like a chess game. What are we going to do next? Our next move is we don't know anybody, so let's get some attachment. So we cast the thing and started sending the scripts out to people's agents, right? But the people we wanted are at the big agencies like CAA and, whatever. And, and guess what? When we sent the script to the agent, when they opened it, they put it in a return envelope with a rejection letter saying, we don't take unsolicited material. Yep. And I was like, holy shit, we can't friggin' win. And we tried everything. It was just like, I swear, a year of my life I spent trying to get that script in somebody's hands, and it didn't happen. And then one day when I was visiting Dan, he was living in Napa at the time, we went to the video store, and he and I are a fan of really good, bad movies and things like that. So we were looking at the video store where, Uncle Sam, I don't know if you remember that one.
Yes. Uncle Sam, Jack Frost.
And then we saw Jack Frost. And I was like going, oh, dude, I think we need to watch this one. And so we watched it, and I was not in a good headspace when we watched
Okay, to interrupt you just briefly.
it.
Now,
Okay.
I like Jack Frost. I think it's a well-made movie. I think it's very funny. Now, you got to imagine we're really been brutalized at this point. We're like, what the fuck do you have to do to get a fucking movie made? So, but I like that film. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I know, and I've slagged on it, in the past, and I don't mean to do that, right? Because it was, when you go into a movie or whatever, you take your baggage with you or whatever. So I went into that movie expecting it to be this laugh out loud riot or whatnot, and instead, what I saw was, how did this get made? How did this get in the friggin' video store? How is it I've got the greatest tentpole Hollywood summer blockbuster script, that nobody will ever read? But
okay,
somehow a movie about a killer snowman is in the video store.
And you guys know that it's all over Reddit and everywhere in the world that you're part of a trilogy that literally the same people supposedly made Uncle Sam, Jack Frost, and Monsturd. This is widely believed. I even believed it for a long period of time because of just the similarities and like certain things that you guys did. Like, and I'm saying this in the best way possible. Like it was so well crafted that it fit into this whole universe. Like, while ultimately being obviously its own thing.
All right.
Well, Larry Cohen wrote Uncle Sam, I think. I think it was William Lustig maybe directed that. Who directed Uncle Sam? Was it William Lustig?
I can double check.
All right. Anyway,
I know Larry Cohen, I think, wrote it. I'm interrupting.
It was Lustig that. Yeah.
Okay.
But So I couldn't get through it. I mean, I stopped it midway through, or maybe
he was furious. He was really.
And I went home. I drove from Napa to San Francisco, and I was mad. And I was like, going, you know what? Hollywood wants to release this. Won't read her screenplay. And I thought of Trey Parker and Matt Stone, right? When they did that Santa Claus Christmas card thing. I said, I'm going to write a friggin' movie about a shit monster. All right. And I'm going to get together. Dan will write it together, and then we'll just blitz it and send it to every agency, Hollywood studio as a big FU. Fuck you, Hollywood, for, there you go. And so I got home and I started scribbling like the first 25 pages by hand. I just, and then I called Dan. And I said, dude, I told Dan the joke I wanted to do, and Dan was like, you know what? I think you need to chill out, man. I think you need to put that in a drawer.
Well, for a while we entertained it, and we did write like 30 pages, and then it was like, what are we doing this for? We really wanted to send it as a joke to say, oh, make this, but because there was a whole different beginning where the serial killer was going to get electrocuted and he was going to shit himself, and he'd intentionally eaten a last dinner of like broccoli and onions and all this shit, and then he shit his pants, and then somebody sold the underwear on the eBay, and they were possessed by the killer, and that's how we were going on for. And then Rick ended up shoving it in a drawer. I didn't interrupt you, but.
No, that's good. Good backstory. And so it did. So I drawered it, and but I was working at CNET Networks at the time, and I as a reviews editor, and I got wind of a press release about a Canon GL1 camcorder, and this camcorder had a special little switch on the back that put it in what's called frame mode, and the frame mode de-interlaced the video. Right. And that's the problem about shooting. You couldn't really shoot a feature on video because it looked like video. Right. If you have a bunch of non-actors and you've got no budget and you shoot on video, people are going to say you're making a porn. Right. And then it's like, when is everybody's clothes going to come off? So but I was like, I got to try this camera. So I got a review unit, and I took it over to Dan's house. We set it up, started doing all this test footage, and then we put it in the frame mode and we tested. We watched it back, play back on the TV, and Dan went, holy shit, that looks like film. And I was like, you think? And he goes, dude, I know. Dude, we could shoot a movie with that thing. And I was like going, okay, that's cool. So, we did some more tests with it. I took it back to the office, wrote my review, gave it 5 stars out of 5 stars, packed the thing up and put it under my desk, to send back to the vendor because it was just a review unit. And then all of a sudden, I want to say maybe a week or 2 later, Dan called me up and he goes, hey, Rick, you still got that camera? And I go, yeah. And he goes, that shit monster idea that you had, the script? And I was like, yeah. And Dan said, I think we can do it. And I was like, what? Are you serious, man? And he's going, no, man, hear me out. He says, you got to do what Hollywood cannot and will not do. And he goes, Hollywood is not going to make a shit monster movie. I
was on a Herschel Gordon Lewis kick, and I was reading a bunch of interviews with Herschel Gordon Lewis, and he kept saying, this is how Blood Feast worked, because Hollywood wasn't going to make Blood Feast in 1963. That it came out and people were going, what the fuck is this? I mean, they thought the Beatles were crazy in 1963, and they're ripping tongues out of people and poking eyeballs out. And I'm going, wait a minute, that shit monster movie. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody will do that, and people will have to see it.
Right.
And I had to sell Rick back his own.
Right. So he had to sell me back on it, and I said, I said to Dan, I was like, because I'd have to buy the camera, right? Dan didn't have the money. I had some savings, and I was like, but I had bought cameras because Dan and I had been filming sketch comedy, together with a bunch of group of people for years. But I was kind of like the guy that buy the camera gear. And I was just like, dude, if I buy this camera, we'd have to make this movie. All right. I mean, it was an expensive camera at the time. It was like $3,000.
Yep.
And I was like, and I said, I don't care how long the movie takes to make, but if we start it and I buy this camera, we have to finish it. And I said, or else I will kill you. And Dan said, I swear to God, get the camera. We'll make it work. And I did. And so I was like, all right. So I wrote a check to the vendor, bought the camera, and then Dan and I started brainstorming, penning the first draft of the script. And then we started filming shortly thereafter. So that's the genesis. That was the genesis that got us off our ass, to say, you know what? Hollywood doesn't give a shit about you. They don't care about your script.
Yeah, they don't.
You know what? If you really want to make movies, get off your ass and make your own goddamn movie. Because that's what it was for us. Yeah.
Both of us, Rick and myself, had aborted feature projects. Rick had bought Super 8 film, enough Super 8 film to shoot a feature on, and he spent a fortune on it.
Yeah.
Back then. He spent outdoor film, all sound. He had this massive thing, and he had a script, and I helped on the script, and then we had a falling out with the original writer, and then it just fucking went into the toilet.
Yeah.
And I had tried to shoot a fucking Dracula movie, of all things. I figured I was going to make a fucking period piece, and I ran out of money in like 2 seconds. I was like, no, I'm going to do the period piece. I've always wanted to do a Hammer movie. So I fucking started shooting, and I got like 3 scenes in, and then I ran out of my fucking money, and that was the end of the Dracula movie. So we were going, oh, we got to make a feature. How do you fucking stick to it and make a feature? And I got to say, this movie had some uncanny, weird luck to it, though. I mean, there was some shit that, like the sewer tunnel, how that happened. It was like, is this meant to be? Which sounds insane when it's a shit monster movie, but that's what it seemed like. We had this uncanny, weird luck with this stuff, and it was crazy.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is that I think I wanted to get out there, right, was that if, yes, we bought the camera. We agreed we wanted to make Monsturd, but we wanted to be something good, right? Something that we would be entertained watching. We didn't want to. We could have shot it in a weekend in our garage, right? And it would have been just terrible and whatever. And then we could say we made a shit monster in our garage over the weekend. We didn't want that. We were like, if this is the only movie that we make in our lives, let's make something that we can enjoy with our friends, smoke some weed, kick back, relax, and have a good time. And so we took our time with it. If you read some of the reviews, it looks like they were like, oh, it looks like they shot it in a weekend, blah, 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 blah. But the fact is that Monsturd took a year to shoot, right? And part of it was that nobody got paid, and so we had to work on their time, their schedule. So it was only weekends, right? We became weekend warriors. Like, hey, what are you doing Saturday? What are you doing Saturday? Great, we could shoot this scene.
Making Monsturd.
Yeah, and when we weren't shooting, then we'd drive around looking for locations that we could nab. But then and then after we finished it, it was another year in post to just, because we had what did we have, Dan? Like 50 mini DV tapes.
It was. We didn't edit anything. We just shot the entire movie. Then we went and edited it. So you're going, holy fuck! Like, I started having panic. This is the first time I've ever had a fucking panic attack in my life, and we had shot all this footage. It was like an insane amount of tapes, and we're going, oh my god, we got to start from the beginning and go to the end. And Rick had this thing. It said, like, because we based it in Butte County, I don't know what it was some stupid pun. And he had an actual clip that said 2 Butte County deputies die in shootout, and Butte County is not far from us. There's a Butte County in California. And I just thought, is that a bad omen? Why do you have that hanging on the wall? That's terrible. And I started thinking, we're never going to finish this. It's going to be taken away. There's going to be a house fire. Like, everything we had was writing on this movie, because it's like, I thought it was going to be taken away. It's like, we shot a fucking feature film. We actually did it. Now,
Right.
can it happen? Will we see it on a screen? Will it get scored? Will it get mixed? It was insane. And I started having these insane anxiety attacks where I thought it was just going to be stolen from us, because we worked fucking hard on this.
And we had so many hours of footage, because like, it's funny, the intro to this podcast was, you have the little Hollywood snap thing. Well, guess we wanted to be professional. We started the movie with one of those things, but guess what? When you get to take 17, hey, take 17, click, you're going, what the fuck? Just get rid of this thing. This is bullshit. Threw the thing out
away the clapstick. We're like, we're just going to be sitting here all day on a clapstick.
And then it's like, nobody's noting. It's not like we have a script supervisor on set who's going, okay, we'll make a note. That's going to be take 17. No,
don't think about that.
And we've got
until you have the pile of tapes, and then you're like, oh shit, we logged nothing.
That's right.
Yeah,
and
this is true. 30 takes of one line.
Right, because and then our directing style was more like parroting, right? The parrot, where what we do is we would turn the camera on, and then tell them how to say the line, and then they would say it back. And it's like, no, more up, go up on that line, right? Like, what are you doing, right? You're going, what are you doing? No. You want, what are you doing, right? And then until they got it. And then in the meantime, we're just rolling through tape, which is great, because if you're shooting on film, you can't afford that, right? There's no.
Right. Oh, yeah, not at all.
So, but with little $5 mini DV tapes with an hour of footage, you can slap one of those things in there and spend a half an hour, on just 2 lines if you need be. But what sucks then is when you get to the editing and you have to watch 30 minutes of one guy trying to get his line right. And you're like, oh my God. Oh my God.
I went through a similar thing in my first film where I did Slashers Gone Wild, and 7 years to make the movie because we could only film on Sundays. All these weird stipulations on when we could do what we could do, and we cut I think he cut 7 or 8 different versions of the movie until the one that's on Tubi now, and that's got footage that I wasn't even around with him anymore at all when he filmed. And his whole style was, hey man, I'm really chill, so I'm not even gonna write a script, man. I know you're new to film, but here's what I want you to do. There's a chainsaw over there. There should be some dialogue figured out. Just say some stuff. I'm just gonna roll, and I just need you to go start that chainsaw at some point in time during your monologue. I'm like, what monologue? I don't know, man. Just make it up. So the whole time, and I did high school theater, I did improv, and he's getting me high as hell before every shoot. So I'm just wandering over here to the chainsaw going, welcome back to Watch the Bitch Bleed, like I'm doing an interview show all of a sudden. And every cut, I think the weirdest shit I did under the weirdest circumstances that had nothing to do with anything is all this shit that somehow ended up in the movie. But every version that was edited until that last one, he'd be like, oh fuck, we got another 20 tapes. Hey Raz, here. you don't got nothing to do for the next week. Go through all these and do the logs. I'm like, really? He's like, this is why we always roll, man, because you never know when that one take is going to make the whole movie. So we just have to roll all the time. And then, yeah, I think we went through 74 takes by the time it was all said and done, up until the edit before I dropped off the company and he made another version later.
Oh, yeah. Well, you mentioned about getting high as hell. One of the things that we, while it looks like we all had a blast making Monsturd, is like we were all sober during at least the shoot parts. A couple of times that we had beers, it doesn't work, man.
Yeah,
we had a couple of beers like because we were shooting after work and we were all jacked up from work and we're like going, fuck, all right, now we got to film, we got to get into film mode. Let's just have a few beers. And then you have a few beers and then you're not, you're not 100%, and you're just,
I learned that from that movie, and every set after it's been like the sober set where we can party afterwards. Yeah, we're done filming.
Afterwards.
Yeah, now ever since that movie, I learned everything not to do during the process of making movies, and that was the hardest lesson, man. So I came off of being a professional wrestler and touring with the band, and all that shit was you were just on stuff all the time, and then film. It's like you think it's going great, and then when you're the log guy watching all the tapes, you're realizing, yeah, we can't use like 20 of these tapes right off the top of the pile because everybody got indulged too much, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah, that's just a bad combination. I mean, oftentimes you have to do that afterwards because it's like a stand-up comedian. You're all jacked on adrenaline.
Yep.
You're just like, just so wired after you do it, and it's like impossible to go to sleep. But doing it while you're doing it is fucking moronic. But
no, it just doesn't work. It's not funny. Yeah.
Definitely, man.
My question is, how did you guys decide to go from a child's point of view for the movie?
That's a good question. Yeah, that was a weird.
One of our favorite things.
And here's another question. Why did we use a fucking miniature for the house in the beginning? Because it's like we could have just filmed the house. I think because we wanted rain and we went, we'll use a miniature, and it made no sense. And it was like,
I know we used it because you built it. I don't know why you built it. You built it.
Why did
we? Like, fuck, you built it. Let's use it.
I mean, it was weird, but it was like, why are they? It's a house. Why can't you just film a house?
Yeah, right. I know. Well, I know. And then if you pause it while the opening shot on the miniature, you'll see like there's a truck next to it, but the truck is like misproportioned to the
size.
Okay, this is the logic for the child. Is we had things that we had tried to do and we could not do. We had a car crash, which is hence the truck that was parked next to this miniature house. We had a car wreck where the sewer, all the sewage spilled into the sewer. It was going to be a big grandiose thing. And we bought this miniature truck that was to scale, and we made little men to put in there. And we shot it going off a cliff that was outside of my house. And it just looked fucking moronic. We could not make it work. We were going, should we slow it down? This looks fucking idiotic. And we're going, this is not going to work.
I know. And then after we rolled it down the hill a couple of times, little bits and pieces started breaking off it, like the
we fucked our little miniature up.
And I was just like, dude, now the truck's all fucked up, looks just broken.
And somehow we got to the conclusion that we should have a narrator linking things where she could go, and then this happened, and
yes,
and you could segue with the narrator, like Tales from the Crypt or fucking whatever,
it was,
like Creep Show or something. And somehow that manifested itself in a fucking 6-year-old kid. I don't know where the fuck we landed on that. I mean, Hannah was great, but I really don't know how we came up with that a kid was going to tell it. Rick, I think you said.
Yeah, I knew the guy whose daughter that was. And the guy was supposed to be our original sheriff. He said he wanted to do it, but was getting divorced. And he says, I'm sorry, I can't dedicate time to this because I'm getting divorced. And I was like, oh, bummer, whatever. But then that's where we got Paul Wiener to spill in, and Paul Wiener is just awesome and great. But anyway, he had 2 daughters, and so his Yeah,
both.
and as Dan had mentioned, it was a way to segue for scenes that we couldn't film. Like the truck going down the scene, where it's like, well, why don't we have a narrator and we could pop her in various places through the movie. And, scenes where we can't film or we couldn't pull it off or whatever, we just cut to Hannah, right? It was a gimmick. I don't know if that answers your question.
That does, and that makes perfect sense.
Would you like to meet your biggest fan?
I don't know about that.
We're talking about kids, and because I made them watch this movie, I'll let you tell this story, Pyle. Actually, this is your story, man.
Okay, so I just happened to be starting the Elliott Network, and they said, you know what, this movie, go here, watch it, and I said, okay. So my daughter, that was 5 at the time, sat there, and she looks at me, and she goes, what are we watching? And she goes, oh, there's a little kid. This is a kid movie. So me and her has watched it, no kidding, 8 times together, but we have played this song in the car off to the babysitters multiple times. She's watched the movie by herself, and she even admits that the puppet kind of does look like Raz.
Yep. I've been getting that a lot lately since we show the pictures of the puppet. Yeah, a lot of people think it looks like me.
But she had a message for you. So
Yes.
Hi guys, I love your movie, and
How many times have you watched it now? We're up to 8 times.
Hey.
We've watched Monsturd together 8 different times, haven't we? And you like that poop monster, don't you? All right?
It's funny.
Okay. So say bye.
Bye.
Wow! Holy cow! That was awesome.
She sang part of the song to me when I saw her the other day too.
Oh my god!
She knows the song.
Yeah, we donated that end theme song to Creative Commons, so it's in the public domain. Anybody can download it and share it and whatnot.
she shares it.
Well, tell your daughter we say hi, and that we really appreciate her loving the movie.
Yeah, tell her we said hi back.
Absolutely. She's going to watch this as we go ahead and pull it up tomorrow. I'll bring it up to this point, and she'll have a big old smile on her face, and then she'll be like, can we watch it again?
You will too.
And yes, you have been added to that. We have a couple of different. This is me judging people. We of course had to have Killer Sofa judging.
Oh, wow!
Because why would you not? The horse judging.
Because there's a horse.
But now we have Poop Monster is judging you as well. Added to our list of.
That's cool.
And not every film gets somebody judging them. So
Nope. This is special. And we bust these things out on all our shows, just randomly to mess with each other, like all the time.
Just hanging out. Somebody says something dumb, and it varies on like what you're doing. Which one comes judging you. But yeah,
your movie got a scoring system after we did too much.
Yeah, it started its own scoring system for Pyle. Yeah. It's been his scoring system for Tomb ever since. Yeah.
Nice.
That's how every movie is judged. It's so much fun.
I think Jenny had a question about the costume.
Yes. My question was, how did you guys make the costume?
That's a Dan question.
Well, actually, it's you that came up with the. I'll tell how we did it. I mean, first we were going, God, how do we make the turd monster? Do we make it out of foam, rubber, whatever? And then Rick said, what if we use spray foam insulation? He goes, he was using it to create art and stuff, and he'd used it around his house. And Rick said, we could do it. So he goes, what if Rick had bought a mannequin because he's Rick, and he had a mannequin. So we we put a
I've got many.
painter's Breaking Bad suit on it. We stuffed it full of newspaper, thinking that would give us room to fit inside of the costume.
Right.
And so we put the painter's outfit on the mannequin. We stuffed it full of newspaper, so there was plenty of room in there. And then we just started spraying spray foam insulation on top of that thing. And then we had to cut it into sections to get it off the suit. And then we would, to join it, we would spray a little more insulation so it just didn't look like a flat cut. So we would spray it around that. And this fucking, you want to talk about a fucking anxiety attack. Because it was hot as fuck. It's spray foam insulation. So once you're inside of this thing, it's like 150 fucking degrees, and you can't see anything. They cut like an eye hole, and a lot of the times I was in this fucking goddamn thing, and you could see nothing. They put out like a little screeny eye hole, and Rick would be going, move to the left, and I'd be like in there having a fucking anxiety attack. And they'd shove like towels and plastic bags so you couldn't see the joins where you had to move, and you could barely walk. So you were constantly like almost going to fall over and kill yourself. And Rick would be going, go to the left, roar! And he'd go, roar! And you had to, it was horrifying. And it was literally like, I was, it's like,
that was it.
If I would go to hell, that would be what I would be in, the Monsturd uniform, and I would be having like an anxiety attack for the rest of fucking eternity because I was stuck in that fucking thing. Couldn't see where I was going. It was hot as fuck. And I mean pouring sweat inside that thing. It was horrible.
Yeah, but I think the woman was asking about the costumes, not just the Monsturd. The costume.
No, I wanted to know about the actual costume. I had questions from my child about how that was made so she can make her own costumes. And y'all made that. And it's great knowledge to have. And I can show her later.
I love this because 50% of the haunted attraction industry is props and costumes built from spray foam. Like for real, like so, like that is. I love that.
I love spray foam. I mean, it's durable as hell, man. It's but the thing is, it's inflexible. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you watch the movie, you kind of get the illusion that there's flexibility, but there isn't. And if you throw up the Monsturd picture that you took, you'll see how stilted. Like, you can see the arms, like how
it's like an action figure.
And so what if you only show it for 2 or 3 seconds, right, and the arms are moving, then your mind fills in the gap and goes, oh wow, okay, that's a real creature.
It reminds me of the original like WWF style action figures. They don't move at all, but your imagination makes them move, and that's what counts.
Oh, just those rubber things. Like my brother had tons of those.
Yep.
My little brother loved wrestling. He had all of those fucking things.
Oh yeah. I think Pyle had something next.
I do. Now that we talked about the spray foam and this and that, Raven made a comment as soon as your main characters came out and they had all their stuff on and they were ready to do battle. She goes, "Are those supposed to be Ghostbusters?"
It was the joke of, the arming yourself to fight. You always had the, at the time they were always doing sequences where it was like Bruce Campbell and
Campbell, Evil Dead 2, right? And it's like,
the montage, man.
The whole diaper thing over the underwear. I mean, that was great.
Absolutely love that, man. Del, you had something?
Yeah, you said that the sewers had just worked out magically for you, and that was a great place to film. How was it that they worked out? You just kind of said that they did, but how did you come across them?
So my parents live in St. Helena on the top of a mountain, and St. Helena is in the Napa Valley, right? It's a wine growing region of the country, and so they lived on top of a mountain, and one of their next door neighbors was a vineyard, right? I don't want to say their name because it's a very high-end, prestigious vineyard where they would roll over in their grave if they knew that their caves were used in a shit monster movie. But so they were building the caves. They were still in the process. So they carved them out. They put cement all around them and things. And so when I was telling my mom, I was visiting her, and I said, you know what? We're still looking for the sewer, looking for something with tunnels, caves, something like that. And she goes, you might ask, our neighbor. And so I go, well, do you mind asking on our behalf? And I said, just tell her we're making a B movie horror thing. All right. Don't tell her what it's about. And so she did. And, and so the woman goes, yeah, you guys can come in on the weekend or whatnot. It's not locked. Just you guys can go in and whatever, and do your thing. And as long as you're out by Sunday evening, I think that's fine. So Dan and I went and evaluated and checked it out. And it was like, holy shit. When we started lighting the place up, there was like a mile of tunnels. I mean, it went way back in the mountains there, and they had branches. They went right, they went left, and you could get lost in there. And Dan and I just hugged each other and we went, oh my God, this is our $1 million Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, it looked like Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, like we were going, holy fuck, how deep do these things go? And they went on forever, and there were just these, and we had the fucking electricity go off when we were in the middle of that because we blew the circuit. And luckily we had flashlights because we were cops and we were in the sewer, because we would have been fucked. We just like all of a sudden the power went.
Imagine going into a mountain a quarter of a mile, right? Into the mountain into a darkness, there's no windows, right? You're in a cave. And they're not finished tunnels, so everything is hooked up by extension cords. And we had a smoke machine. We had those Lowe's those halogen lights. We had like all this stuff, and they were all plugged into one thing. And all of a sudden, we're like going, okay, let's get the smoke machine going, and we'd smoke up the place. And then all of a sudden, everything just went. Holy shit! We're like a quarter mile into this mountain, and you can't see your hand in front of your face. But like as Dan mentioned, we did our cop uniforms had the mag lights, so we were able to trudge back out to the entrance, find the thing, put a new fuse in the fuse to power it, and then it was like, all right, everybody, unplug everything, right? Only what we need, right? So if we're gonna smoke it, unplug the lights, right? And then so it had to be this series of things where like, okay, smoke it, unplug the smoke machine, now light it, now let's shoot it, and get the hell out of there, because it's cold as shit too. I mean, it's a fire cave, right? It's meant to keep everything cold, and so you're sitting there freezing. There's no heater in the place.
But you got a Monsturd costume. You could have gotten inside.
I know. And then Dan's sweating bullets in the Monsturd costume. And he's yelling. Dan's cursing. Get this fucking thing off of me! And I'm yelling back. Dude, we just need a couple more shots. No, I'm fucking done. Get me out of here. And it's like, and it required like 2 people to get the costume off. So he couldn't just strip it himself, because it's like he had to step into it, and it's like 2 people.
Because it was all stiff. It was like rock hard.
And he's wearing black garbage bags.
I'd say the first monster I ever played, they thought the best way to do it was just to have me wear clothes I didn't care about, and they were just going to cover me in latex and then just build the suit that way. And then I was going to film that whole day. And I did film that whole day, but we went to take the suit off. I'm a very hairy guy. The suit was stuck to me. We had to take X-Acto blades and cut off sections of the suit, and then I would have to soak in a tub of hot water for an hour just so we could cut more sections off. I lost the majority of my body hair over the period of a week, and there were still parts of the costume that was still stuck to my body for going on a month. And that was the first monster. So like we're talking about spray foam. We upgraded ourselves to literally foam out of couch cushions. We would find abandoned broken couches and steal all the foam out of them to make our suits be after that. But I feel like we just did not think about expansion foam back then. Like for the haunts, but like for filming, it just didn't. It didn't click, man. It didn't click. It will now, though.
Oh, we got a squirrel. I see the squirrel.
Yep. Pyle had another question. Pyle.
So the whole movie seemed like it went all around this entire chili cook-off.
It was the
So
job. It was
my
job.
question. My question was, was that like the first thought? Okay, we're going to do this chili cook-off, and we're going to do this, or did that just get played into this whole thing?
No, it was the Jaws plot. It was big summer dollars. You know how the mayor in Jaws is always talking about. You can't shut down the.
You can't shut down the chili cook-off. That's the town's livelihood.
Shut down the chili cook-off. That's the town's source of revenue. So we were just doing Jaws. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, but you know what though? We were so dedicated that we had to have something that looked like a chili cook-off. So we drove like 3.5 hours north of San Francisco to Hopland,
and it was like 110 degrees shooting that thing.
Yeah,
it was so
and
hot.
It was like all these chili booths were set up, and it was like, and we had to get in our cop outfits and stuff, and just walking around, just trying to get shots of the chili thing. And then here's a insider if you didn't catch it. We had a jumpy as part of the chili cook-off, and the jumpy deflates. Well, the thing is that to get that deflation, we had to reverse the film.
Right.
And so if you watch really closely, the woman is walking backwards.
That's why I said when we were doing it, I was like, did anybody else notice that the deflation was actually an inflation and the woman's walking backwards, and everybody's like, no. This is how many times the daughter made me watch this.
Yeah.
It's the Anaconda waterfall.
Anaconda. Yeah, Anaconda has the boat that's the waterfalls going backwards. Yeah.
They're like, it's our Anaconda shot.
That's our Anaconda. Yeah.
Just walking backwards.
So this was an actual chili cook-off that you just went to?
Yeah.
You just found one and we're like, hey, can we film?
And one of the things we always have on hand are release forms, right? So we were we were trying to be professional. And so everybody you see in the movie, we have release forms. So if we filmed them like serving chili, we're like, hey, we're making a movie. If you sign here, you might be in it. And they were like, okay, whatever. Here you go. So, I mean, I'm sure there's people at that chili cook-off that don't even know they're in this movie. Right? They're just trying to release it. Like, we never contacted them. It's like, all right, well, whatever.
You know, if they read Portuguese, they might find out. Well, I've got you here for a second. I would like to let you know, my tagline tonight is I had a dream. I had an awful dream, and I've been having some shoulder issues, so I've been trying to sleep as much. I sleep a lot anyway, and I dream really intensely. And last night I'm all up on, like, not anything huge on painkillers, just a bunch of ibuprofen, and got all my sleep and trying to sleep with rolling back and forth. And I got stuck in this nightmare that all I could do was clean up poop. Everywhere I was going, there was poop. And I was just like, I need to escape. And I wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing Monsturd tonight. I get to go back to poop.
You guys also had some fantastic dialogue, like fun as hell dialogue in this movie. I think one of the ones that I quote most often, just randomly, especially if I'm near a porta potties right now, I just scream at people, "Hey, pretend it's the Middle Ages. Just shit in a bag and throw it out your window."
Yeah, that's Mr. West. Yeah, he's a genius on that.
Oh, genius.
No, seriously, like the dialogue in this movie was fantastic, man. It was fun. It was interesting. You know, for a movie about a shit creature, like the dialogue brings a lot into the life, and a lot of the interactions between the characters of the dialogue. It sets the tone for different phases of the movie.
Well, I mean, we were trying, this is a genuinely shitty exploitation, not pun, I guess, intended, but we made the best movie we could. So it does fall into like Human Tornado, Dolomite, Blood Feast. It's like we weren't trying to make a crappy movie. Another pun intended, I guess. But we were trying to make a good film, as good as we could do. So it's like, well, this is the best shit monster movie we could do. Hence the cop car, which people go, when was this movie made? Because it's like a cop car from the 70s. So you're like, was this made in the 70s? What the fuck is the cop car? But really trying. I mean, we were going, well, it kind of falls into the pantheon of the shit exploitation films of the 70s, because you're like, well, that's all they could do. To make Blackula, that was the best Black Dracula movie they could make, and that's what you got. We were trying to make the best shit monster we could make, and that's what you got. So it's like, well, we weren't fucking around. We weren't going, I mean, we were doing that, yes, with the subject matter, but with the filmmaking, we were trying to make the best film we could, which is, for good or bad, that's what you get. So, I like to think of it as a good, bad movie. It's like there was some effort, there was some love involved. We did try to do as much as we could as far as special effects, acting, whatever. It's everybody's amateurs and whatever. We just tried to make the best fucking movie we could.
And I think half of the production value is the score. So I want to call out Marshall Spector, the guy who scored that thing. He was a friend of a friend I met at somebody's birthday party, and they were like, "Hey, you want to meet Rick? He wants to make movies. Hey, Rick, meet Marshall. He wants to score movies." And it's like, "Hey, nice to meet you." And we started talking, and I told him that Dan and I are working on this shit monster movie, and hey, if you're interested in scoring it, and he goes, maybe. And so he always had an out. So he'd say, send me the first 5 minutes. All right. And then he said, if I got time, I'll do it. And but you have to understand at any time, if I get real paying jobs, if I get real paying work, then, you're out. You have to fend for yourself. And I was like, all right, fine, whatever. We'll take whatever we can get. And so we sent him 5 minutes. And that was his way of saying, if this movie's going to suck really bad, I can at least have it out. I can be like, yeah, dude, sorry, guys. I can't do this. But we kept sending me these CD-ROMs, little 5-minute chunks of the movie, and he would score them and send us back the WAV files, drop into the production. And I was just like, holy shit. He upped our production value to like so much.
And
it's a lovely soundtrack.
He's an Emmy-winning composer, and people go, "Oh, that's
won an Emmy."
Yeah, it sounds like a video game." And I'm like, "What fucking score are you hearing, you fucking asshole?" I mean,
you can see Dan doesn't like the bad reviews. He's not a big fan.
Whatever. I guess I take them. I'm a little more sensitive to them, but I'm going, it's a shit monster. I should be a little less sensitive. People are gonna fucking do it.
Well, and the thing is, what I do PR. That's what I do for a living. I do public relations for a number of different companies and whatnot. And so one of the things I've just learned from just doing PR, right, is you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And so, like, when I see stuff like you guys doing a review of it and whatnot, I like to step in and go, "Hey guys, thanks for taking the time to look at the movie," right? And so I'll do that even to the bad reviews, right? Somebody rakes us over the coals. "Hey, sorry you didn't like it, man. Maybe you'll like our next one."
Go do the shit your pants dance. Go do it now.
You know who liked this movie? Alice Cooper liked this movie.
Yep.
Which was odd.
Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird call out. Wasn't expecting that.
Name drop, and I like Alice Cooper. I was like, oh, "Fuck yeah!" But talking about entering the subculture.
Yeah, and I'm stoked that our movie is kind of risen into the pop culture pantheon. When you start appearing in like crack.com lists of the 30 weirdest movies ever made, and you see all these classics, and you're like going, "Oh, there's John Waters, there's early this," and then you're like, "Oh, there's Monsturd," and it's like, well, wow, we're in some lists. I'm like, that's cool.
This is a divisive movie, obviously. It's like for every person that loves it, there's 2 or 3 that think it's a piece of shit. Another pun, not intended, but whatever the fuck. I can't say this without making 5 million puns. So,
yeah.
Rue Morgue magazine, I loved Rue Morgue. You know, I've kind of since lost the Rue Morgue thread, but at the time I was reading Rue Morgue, you know, religiously, and they loved it. And I was like, holy fuck. You know, like Fangoria fucking acted like we were some piece of see, another pun. Fangoria never touched us at all. They would not review it. They wouldn't put us in the magazine. And I think Tony Timpone actually was like, why would you make this movie? It's like you'd have to he said we were like a porno movie you'd have to smuggle out in a paper bag because he was so embarrassed about it. And I was like, well, you know, Rue Morgue didn't have a fucking problem. They thought we were fine, you know.
Yeah.
Some people, you know, they just, I don't know.
My favorite bad review was the 2 that made this movie should be taken out back and shot.
Oh yeah,
I was just like, wow, holy cow!
Oh, somebody said that they wanted to scoop somebody's. I think it was Timmy. They wanted to scoop Timmy's eyeballs out with a fork, and I don't know what. But I was going, well, that's a little severe. That's kind of. I go, if you if you don't fucking like the movie, why are you fucking sitting here torturing yourself? Don't watch it. I don't do that. I don't go, I hate this piece of shit. I gotta sit here and watch it for a fucking 90 minutes. And I'm gonna fucking hate it every goddamn 1 minute. You know, why are you watching the fucking thing?
Well, you know, and I got to tell you, like you know, to kind of tie in the whole Jack Frost, right, in like Monsturd, is that a lot of enjoying a movie like that is being in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be ready for it. Right. You're like going, you know what you're going to get, and you just, and when you have that mindset, then you go in and you can enjoy it and appreciate it. I've gone back and watched Jack Frost again, and I've started to appreciate it. Going, all right, this is not bad. It's actually pretty decent. Well made.
That movie's really well made, and it's got some very funny things.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was a fan of that movie.
But yeah,
you know,
there have been times I've tried to put in Monsturd, right? I've had a few beers, right? And I go, you know what? I'm bored. I need a laugh. I'll put in Monsturd. And I'll go, fuck, man. No, I'm bored as shit, man. And I've been bored by my own fucking movie. And gone, no, I was like, fuck, not right now, man. Get away.
I know Del had a question about commercials.
No, I was saying we should run our ads.
Well, I know.
Oh, okay. Don't mind holding on for a second. We need to run our commercials real quick. I'm going to ask Jenny, can you do those too?
Yes, I can do those.
Hold off for a second. All right, cool.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductopus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Reductopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh. And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Dorking Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Reductopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
Welcome back to the Ally Picture Show. Now, coming back from the break, there's one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about. You guys created this representation for shit that was a void that was left in the market. We had the Golgothan shit demon from Dogma in '99. We, of course, had Mr. Hanky. But you guys saw this void that was just suddenly just vacant, and you jumped in there. How does it make you feel to know that you created representation for shit in the world? Like, literally, that's what you guys have done here.
Yeah.
He said that with such a straight face, by the way.
Rick, do you want to take this one?
Well, I don't know. I just, I'm happy that, well, you know what it is? I guess, really, Dan and I have talked about this before when we hang out and stuff, is that had we not made Monsturd and the sequel Retarded, we would have just, I would have had a midlife crisis, right? I've just been working, doing PR, dreaming about making movies, writing screenplays that never get read or produced by anybody. And so looking at Monsturd and where it's been, and it makes me like, all right, cool, man. I could die now. I can die happy and not feel like, oh, I missed out. I coulda, I woulda, I shoulda. I could have made a movie. I never made a movie, right? I can die now saying, hey, you know what? We made a movie. We can be entertained. We watch it every once in a while. It's fun to be entertained by it. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, we had a lot writing on this because we're dyed in the wool. Like, we wanted to make movies. That was our thing, And it just seemed impossible and we were going, even if we do make one, who's going to fucking care? And so when we hit on that premise, we're like, this is so ridiculous that you'd have to watch it. You'd have to see, how bad is this? How good is this? What is this stupid thing? It seemed like it would leap off the shelf. And, and I'm a huge Herschel Gordon Lewis fan. So it was like the Blood Feast logic held solid. And the method to our madness held up because it's 2024 and we're still talking about a fucking shit monster movie. So it kind of worked. I mean, it's gone all over the world, like Rick said. We never thought, we were going, this could fizzle out. We ended up in fucking Blockbuster, which when there were video stores, that was like winning a fucking Oscar. We were like, what the fuck? How the fuck? We had people calling us going, how the fuck is there a shit monster movie in Blockbuster? We were like, I don't know.
Right. I know one of the proudest moments of my life, because my poor mom, right? What do you say when your friends go, well, what is your son up to? He's making a movie. Really? What's it about? And it's like, oh my God, I don't know what she's had to say. Just shaking her head in shame. Going, my son. The proudest moment I ever had was that when she and my dad came to visit us, and I took my mom to our local video store, and we had an entire 2 shelves, right? Upper shelves were VHS, lower shelves were all DVDs of Monsturd. We were above us was Monsters Inc. and below us was Monsters Ball. And it was one of the greatest days of my life when I took my mom into Blockbuster and I said, Mom, I want to show you something. And I took her to the new release wall and I showed her. And my mom was just like, I can't believe you fucking did it. Yeah.
They thought we were insane. I mean, everybody thought we were insane.
Yeah, everybody thought we were crazy.
And then people were going, what?
Why would you make this?
Why? Of all the movies you guys could make, my mother still says that. She goes, but he's making those weird movies. Why don't you make a good, nice one? But that even stunned my mom. My mom's like Catholic, nerdy Disney lady, and she saw that and she was going, he's in Blockbuster. It was like she was getting calls from people, and they just thought, and my mom thought the world was ending or something. Like, this shit monster movie worked. Oh my God.
And you guys got into Netflix when that was kind of a difficult time for indie filmmakers because they were doing that switch where, they were they were just discs for forever, and then they started this streaming, and they started denying a lot of indie filmmakers when they were switching to streaming. So like,
I don't think Monsturd would never get picked up by Netflix today.
Yeah, no.
They would never carry this.
That
We were very lucky, for sure.
Noah, you mentioned Cracked earlier.
Yeah.
Are you guys aware that Jason Paragon used to be one of the main editors over there and was the editor when that came out about Monsturd. He has actually referenced both Monsturd and Retarded in his book series, John Dies at the End. He's up to 4 books now as of like 2 years ago, and there are still occasional references to both of the films.
What? Wow. Really?
Yeah. He's actually one of my favorite authors too. So like the first time he mentioned him, I'm like, okay, this is why he's one of my favorites, because he's mentioning these things that I love.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm being very serious about it. Yeah, they have been referenced.
Novels or?
Yeah, it's a whole novel series. John Dies at the End.
Fuck. I had no idea. Okay, that's insane. Okay.
It's really cool, man. I know Don Cascarelli did a movie of the first of the books, which was also called John Dies at the End. But like,
you're fucking kidding me. This the author of John Dies at the End has mentioned Monsturd and Retarded.
Yeah, in interviews, there's like if you understand the comedy level of one of the main characters, John, actually in the series, it's very right up. Both movies are very right up his alley as a character, also. So it actually makes a lot of sense, like when you read the stuff and kind of go through it.
Okay, there's
like little nods, and
Okay, here's a weird link to that. That my girlfriend knew the mask maker that worked on John Dies at the End for John Costa.
Really?
I think that's really strange.
That is crazy, man.
That's gonna flip her out. That flips me out. I had no idea that. What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Another crazy story we had was there was after Monsturd came out, there was a woman at one of our local papers that was doing a series of movies that they were going to show in various bars around San Francisco. And so she said, hey, can we show Monsturd in one of the series? And we were like, yeah, absolutely. Dan and I will come. We'll do a Q&A afterwards and all that kind of stuff. It's all good. And so we do it, and there's only like 7 people in the place, whatever.
No, that was a good turnout. That was
all right. But as we go behind the bar to like sell our DVDs or whatever, and lo and behold, who's standing in line to buy or talk to us? Jello Biafra, former lead singer of the Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
And so he waited till all the line was gone and then said, hey, I saw your movie. I really enjoyed it. And, what are you guys working on next? And so we all went outside and had a beer together, and we told him we were working on Retarded. And I said, if you want a scene in it or whatever, we'd love to have you in it. And he goes, sure. Here's my information. He gave us his number and everything. And
he was my fucking neighbor. He was watching us film Monsturd. He's going, what the fuck are those guys doing down there? And when we were dumping the body into the sewer thing at the beginning, he's going, what the hell? They're making a movie down there. And then he saw it at the theater in San Francisco, and he was like, that's by my house. And I knew he was my neighbor because my landlord told me. He goes, I think that's Jello Biafra, and he lives like a fucking vampire. He sleeps during the day and like gets up at like fucking 7 o'clock at night. And so anyway, long story short, yeah, we got along like a house on fire. We just sat there bullshitting with him at that screening for like 3 hours, and then he's like, well, I've acted in a couple of films, and we were like, you want to be in the next one? We'll write you this part. And we wrote him a part as the mayor because he ran for mayor of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he ended up doing it. And we were just like, holy fucking shit. Because I loved the Dead Kennedys when I was in high school. I mean, my friends were like, that's California punk rock. So everybody fucking loved them. And it was like, I was trying to get East Bay Ray in it because a friend of mine knew the guitarist of the Dead Kennedys. And I kept like trying to get East Bay Ray, and then fucking suddenly we meet Jello Biafra, and he just like offers to come and do it. We were like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Oh yeah,
it was so bizarre, and it was fucking great. So anyway, that's
amazing.
One of the things that happened.
I love happy accidents when they come together. I accidentally got published my first time. Yeah, I just got added to a list for no apparent reason whatsoever of people to submit for things, and I was just like, okay, and ended up getting accepted. And then like through that, I've gotten through some of these other things, met my brother here, Raz, and a bunch of just strange things happen, and y'all just go, okay.
Now, are you a novelist, or are you graphic novels or novels, or what do you guys write?
He does it all. I'm currently working on novels, but mostly focusing on short stories and anthologies and things like that, because I found that it's easier, like work on the novels in the background, but get the short stories and either an anthology or a collection going together, and network, get to know a couple different publishers and people that work with different companies, so that you can kind of just make your way around the circuit and have different places to pitch things when you get the big stuff going on. And he actually has the determination to finish writing. And
I read a lot. Yes, and Friday also, yeah.
Well, you guys know we novelized this fucking movie. We actually did the tie-in novel as a joke. So yeah, we have that.
But yeah,
I have read it, by the way.
Here's a happy accident story. The title itself. When I was driving home from Dan's place and I was mad after Jack Frost, and I said, originally I wrote it. It's called "It Came from the Sewer." That was the original title, and then Dan came up with a better title, "Number 2, Part 1." And I was like, oh, that's clever. Love it. And so for the first part of production, it was called Number 2, Part 1. And I was like, all right, I like it. And then Dan just was like, it was rubbing him the wrong way. And he goes, dude, this is too esoteric, man. Because he was like, when you're in a video store, right, and you're looking at all the spines, right, and you're going, Jaws, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Number 2, Part 1. People are going to go, what? And then they're just going to move on because they don't get it. And Dan said, because he's a big Herschel Gordon Lewis fan, and Herschel Gordon Lewis is one of the best marketers out there.
Oh, yeah.
And Dan says, Herschel says, your title has to say what the movie's about, right? So Alien, right? You know what that's about, right? Oh, shit, I do. I could tell. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So he goes, we need a title that tells people what the movie's about. And we were on his deck having beers, and I went, well, it's a monster turd. And then I was like going, so it's kind of like a Monsturd. And Dan went, that's it.
It was the day the kids were dropped off at the pool.
Yep. For better or worse.
I would have never thought of that until you said it, looking at the spines only when you're going through.
Yeah,
back in the day, that's what you saw.
You have to think of what's going to jump out at people, and they're going to be going, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, right.
Do I rent this? Because it's going to be retarded, then your curiosity, it's a hook, it's a bait and hook, and it obviously worked. I mean, we always say there's methods to our madness. People thought we were insane doing this and insane calling it that. And it's like, but it hooks people in. They go, well, how bad is this thing? I mean, this could be fucking terrible. And then we get people like you guys who think it's great, so you go, we weren't intentionally setting out to make a terrible or great movie. We just made the best movie we could. You'd swear to God from the reviews that people were watching a completely different movie.
Right. I know Friday wants to talk about Tubi for a second.
We have a section in our show where we spin a wheel, and all of us have put movies in for us to watch next. and we do when we find out what the movie is, we see if it's on Tubi or not. So Tubi or not to be is what we do. And one of the best things is you guys are on Tubi, so we can literally, and we have honestly sent the direct link to your movies to friends, family, and so
Show
on
notes.
and so forth.
You know, I
Show
gotta tell
notes.
you, I love Tubi. It's quickly becoming my favorite channel of all, and I got all the streamers. And I'm just like, the Hollywood shit is just starting to bore the shit out of me. You know, I'm just like going, oh, another Marvel movie. I'll be on Disney going, holy shit, it's Star Wars shit. It's fucking Marvel shit. And then it's like the same old shit. And it's like, oh man, and then it's like you go to Tubi and it's like, wow, they've got all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean,
Tubi became like Netflix. My brother was going, you guys are on Tubi. And I'm like, yeah. And I kept hearing that. And I was like, you know, I got to fucking get Tubi, man. Because I knew about it a little bit. And I had it on my phone. And then I just reinstalled it. And we were just watching a fucking Westminster dog show on Tubi.
Watch anything on there, literally.
I came in here because my girlfriend wants to look at cute dogs, and you know they're fucking awesome. And so we were just watching Tubi right before I came in. So I fucking love Tubi.
Tubi for horror has been like a big deal, man.
70s shit on Tubi, like all this crazy exploitation stuff. It's fucking great.
Yeah, dude, I was watching some weird Chilean out in the woods, 3 girls are fucking abducted kind of thing. I'm like, this is chilling. I'm like, wow. And it's like, I love it. I don't know. It's just...
You know what? I actually watched Monsturd and Retarded on Tubi. And I was I was impressed. I was going, hey, they timed the commercial break so it doesn't break up the movie. I was like, it's like we're on television. You know? It's like we're on television in the 80s or something with commercials in it.
Oh yeah, Tubi has been like the biggest boon to indie horror since direct to video. That was like the first really big boom for horror back in the late 80s, like going into the mid 90s even. And then we get Tubi now, and it's revolutionized like how we get to view indie, because for the most part, unless you go to horror conventions, you're not seeing the real indie shit out there. There was real no other way to see it by going to a horror convention and meeting people like you and buying your movies. Like that's how we did it. And Tubi has taken that and made everything more accessible. I know one of my favorite subgenres is the found footage subgenre of horror, and I don't think it would still exist to the degree it does without Tubi, because it kind of breathed life back into that subgenre on its own, and it's brought so much back to like the community just because Tubi exists. So it's like the coolest little tool that's out right now.
It is, but you know what? You're not going to get rich on it. You're not going to make any money.
No.
Since Monsturd's been out in 21 years or whatever, I think the movie's made about $8,500 all told. The Blockbuster deal, we didn't get anything on because the distributor went out of business as soon as that deal went through. And then we went with another distributor. So that title of that Monsturd cover box that you used for the splash screen, that is from our second distributor. And he was like going, well, I need to come up with a title. I need a new cover. I can't use the Blockbuster cover. I have to come. And I go, well, what about the Blood Beach? Remember the Blood Beach poster with the woman getting sucked into the beach? I said, well, I sent him that poster. I said, how about something like this? And then he developed the thing with the woman getting stuck in the toilet. Now, and I laugh at that because I feel bad for that woman, that model that posed for that. And it's like, I didn't know her. She's not in the movie. And God, can you imagine how you explain that to your friends? It's like, what is this? What is this? And it's like, oh my God.
In slashers, I'm on the cover and there's these people near me. It looks like we're a team of like slashers going in to do something. Everybody's like, who are all those people on the cover with you? And I'm like,
yeah. So anyway,
I sent them some marketing images, and they hired some models, and I've got a chainsaw. That's all I can tell you. I know his name, but that's about it.
Yeah, and then so we got our third distributor came in, and they they started selling us international, got us on Tubi, Amazon for rent, that kind of stuff, and a few other sites. But nothing's paying out. It's like nobody's getting paid, and either my distributor is lying. But I'll give you an example. I got a statement when they sold us to like Russia. It was $650 for a 10-year license deal.
Yep.
$650. And our deal with the distributor is a 50-50 profit split. So I get $350 out of that $650. And Russia gets our movie for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing this and you're gonna make a movie, don't do it thinking you're gonna make money. We certainly didn't. Nope. We were making it for ourselves. And if it gets out there, great. If not, it's our own movie and we should be happy with that. But yeah, there's got to find a way to monetize this stuff because nobody's making anything on it.
A lot of it's gone to Kickstarter now. Like people are making the budgets for their entire films before they did even day one on set. Like the way we gather funds for everything is it's so different now. It's kind of scary.
Your film's on Tubi. How much has that made? How much has that generated?
I'll be right back, you guys. I'll be right back. So just keep it going.
So I'm not with the company that made it. Like honestly, like I wrote all the wraparound stuff to make everything make sense and come together, and I did all the acting. I helped with effects. I helped with a lot of stuff on that, but I left the company and I never signed a contract. It was just it was a friend thing. I met the guy. We were cool.
Well, have you talked to your friend?
I never saw a penny. Oh, he doesn't talk money. So I really honestly couldn't tell you because we went through several different deals with different companies, and the last one he ended up getting was with I think Brain Damage Films was the last deal he got. But then he did some kind of new deal a couple years back, and he just told me about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're on Tubi, guys. I got a new deal," and I'm like, "Oh, cool, awesome. People can watch it again now."
Yeah,
and that's as far as I know. But the movies that I've funded out of pocket for, honestly, I think. The mime film that I did is about a killer mime. That's what my novel series is about. All in all, me personally, I've seen maybe $1,000 in my pocket in 7 years. The producer has seen about 3 or 4, and the American Cancer Society has seen, I think, around 3,000. Because every time I do a movie, I like to partner with a charity, and like after overhead and everything is covered, then we just 50-50 split everything.
Yeah.
So like not much in 7 years, like not much.
Yeah, Retarded cost me let's see, Monsturd cost production-wise about $3,600, non-including the camera. That was $3,000, and some of the lights we didn't include in there because that's production equipment that could be amortized through multiple movies. But the actual production stuff, like the costumes, the cop car rental, and paying people some gas money, some food here and there, that was about $3,600 was the whole budget.
Yep.
Monster. Yep. Retarded. Our budget. We both boosted it. I think it cost me about $15,000. But we brought in a professional special effects makeup artist. So I gave him about $10K to do most of the gore effects, whatever that are in that thing. But that movie to date has maybe earned $10,000. So I'm still in the black or the red for $5K. But whatever, again, it was money I could afford to lose. I'm like going, I never invested anything like, I got to put all my credit cards and hope that I get paid back. No, it was just money. I was like, all right, if we don't make it, fucking whatever, I can continue on.
I did that with a big a Slender Man web series that ended up, we got almost a full 3 seasons out of. We didn't make any money on it, but we loved it. But I ran up some student debt, because I was in college. I was like, I'll just take some extra student debt on right now, and I'll get this camera, I'll get that. And, you do that for so long, and you're like, fuck. And that's another reason why, that was the second reason why I kind of just stopped film for a long time because of expenses.
Yeah.
But that was also before crowdfunding got as big as it was, and knowing the right Scream Queen to attach, and like just the right people to attach to it, to get it out there. And, it's crazy the stuff that the people that you meet, that now it's like, hey, let's make a movie. I'll do it for free. Let's just hang out. Let's just go do this thing.
Yeah,
and it's totally backwards now.
Yeah. So that's So I don't know how much time we have left, but like one of the things I'm doing now is, I'm at the age. I'm an old guy now, like 55. I'm not a spry young. Hey, let's go out and film this weekend. Ooh. I'm just like, I'm tired. But I still want to make movies. So, Dan and I wrote a screenplay. It's called Satan's Peak. And we think it's a really good script, but now I want to be executive producer, right? So I want to raise the money for it, find the director, get some real actors behind it.
Right.
And Dan's working on a project. Dan, if you want to tell him about he's working on a special film now.
Yeah, I thought I'd be a fucking masochist and make another movie. So since I had to abort my Dracula movie back in the 90s, I figured I'd make my period piece now because I can afford it. So as long as my money holds out, I can do it. So I'm shooting in 6K on a Black Magic camera, and I'm doing it, and it takes place in 1902. So I did full costume. I mean, it's a full-on Hammer movie practically, but it's not. We're not doing British accents. It takes place in Boston, but and so so far so good. I have forward propulsion. I can keep shooting, and I just shoot a little bit at a time and a little bit at a time and chip away at it. It's going to probably take at least 2 years to do, but I wanted to do it, and I think shooting in 6K is a good way to go, and then I can dumb down the footage with some grain and make it look like it's shot in about 1970 or something. But it's an anxiety-inducing, fucking horrific trail of rabbit hole you go down doing this stuff. So, I mean, it's all new. Like, I'm going, you don't shoot on tape anymore? You shoot on hard drives?
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
The learning curve is insane. And I'm going, am I even doing this correctly? Because, the black mat, I don't know if you guys know that technology, but it's like, you have to do the LUT to see what it approximates, and then you got to turn the LUT off or it'll burn itself into the footage. So you kind of, all the footage looks gray, and then you got to take it into DaVinci Resolve, color correct all your footage like you're fucking Hollywood. I'm going, oh my God, this is going to give me a fucking aneurysm. And I got, I was just, before we came in here, I'm building a giant Black Widow woman monster that I have to fight. And it's life size. So it's like I'm filling up our dining room with this giant Black Widow fucking creature.
Hey, Dan, do you have it? Can you bring it? Show it to the group. Can you show it?
Yeah, it's only got 4 legs on it.
All right, well, let's see it. I haven't seen it.
Sounds awesome.
It's halfway there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, oh man, I just saw on Shudder Infestation, the French spider movie.
Oh yes.
Holy smokes, that kicked ass. I hate spiders. I'm an arachnophobe. I was yelling. I was clutching my wife's arms. He was watching it with me. Oh, holy shit. Fuck. Oh.
That is epic. I love it.
That is friggin' awesome. Wow. Dude, that's killer.
Yeah, so I mean, work in progress, but I got to actually fight this thing like a Bruce Campbell fight with breaking bottles and all kinds of shit. And it's one of the creatures in there, but it kind of sets me up as like it's Rick and I are playing like a retarded version of Holmes and Watson in this. So we're like morons that are like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, but he's a fucking drunkard and I'm a fucking idiot. And so, anyway, this is one of the things that I fight. And
it's like Abbott and Costello meet Spider Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks great, Dan.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Anyway,
it's much better than the props for Velocipaster.
Oh yes,
Which
yes.
is still a good movie. But...
I know. Pyle wanted to ask about the theme song. Number two.
Oh yeah. I'll let Dan answer that question.
What was it?
Pyle had a question about the end theme song, like who did it and how it came together.
Okay, so that was written. The music was written by an old bandmate of mine. I used to play drums with the guitarist on that, and he moved back to Seattle, so we had to break up, which was unfortunate. But Rick and I wrote the lyrics to it, and we sent him off. And then he knew a guy named Eric Ferre, who was a very good producer. And So he wrote the music for that, and then Lisa Rind, who's one of the lunatic wife that cuts the carrot and is yelling at her husband to clean the bathroom. She's the singer on that, so she also sings on the retarded end theme. But yeah, that was done by Kip Phillips, who's my old bandmate, and very catchy song. People really like that.
Oh yes, it is.
Your daughter really likes it.
Number two.
Dude, I love like lounge style music. So like especially like the comedy lounge, like Richard Cheese type stuff. So, like that every time it just brings a smile on my face.
Now I've told her multiple times we cannot sing this at school because they're not going to understand. But I'm sure that she's had that in her head and going number two, and the teacher's just like, I don't understand.
It's about a pencil.
Exactly.
Anything but the truth. Lie. No parent-teacher conference, please.
No, he'll just have to conference you guys then if there's questions. That's all. He'll just solve it that way. It'd be fun. Now we live in a world now of legacy sequels. We've got Halloween. We've got the upcoming, slowly being announced, Nightmare on Elm Street, Exorcist. We got so many things coming out. Have you guys considered doing a legacy sequel?
Rick won't do it. I actually wrote a sequel once, and I don't think Rick just wants to do another shit monster movie.
No, my thing with that is the joke's been done. Well, I mean, what would be the point of doing a sequel when it's like going, dude, what are you gonna do? Some more shit jokes? And it's like, it's sort of like the punchline was already been revealed. A sequel would just be like, I don't know. Dan still hasn't sold me on it. I don't know.
I tried.
Would you guys watch a sequel? I don't even.
I would like it. I would help you crowdfund it. I would do anything you would ask if a sequel would be made for this. And I can point you in the directions of probably thousands of people who feel exactly the same. It's bigger than you think still in the community, man. I mean, like I said, you're typing it in, you're seeing that people are still talking about it. We're still talking about it. There's a lot of people out there that love it. Again, it's a movie about shit. It's a shit monster movie. But
you know what, Dan,
it had heart, man.
Next time we get together, if you want to repitch, if that's something that you still want to.
Well, I had the script, and it was a musical. There were musical numbers.
I'm also a musician. It's seriously, if you make Monster 2 the musical,
Okay.
I will sell my soul to you.
All right, Raz. You can buy it on Amazon. I think I put the script up on Amazon, and I think it's called what the fuck was it called? Number 2, Part 2, or something.
Number 2, Revenge of the Turds.
Yes, that's what it is.
I just found it.
Yeah, that's actually the screenplay with some sketches. So that's what I pitched Rick basically, and he said,
Okay.
"I'm not gonna fucking do that."
All right. Well, you know what? Whatever. Let's. If you want to revisit it, Dan, next time we hang out.
I mean, I'm not. It was a way to do a sequel where we didn't have to go back in the sewer, and I don't know.
Yeah.
We had.
I guess enough years have passed. I just when Dan threw it out years ago after we did this one, we could do a sequel to Monsturd, and I was like, well, really? I mean,
I thought it was fun. I got inspired and I wrote it really quickly, and I thought it was a good idea.
All right.
But
I'll entertain it.
Even Jack Frost had a sequel. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
He did.
I mean, we might not talk about it, but it happened. Troll had a sequel, and we talk about that to this day.
That's true.
You guys
But it
make
wasn't really a sequel until it became Troll 2.
Yeah.
You guys make a T-shirt. I'll wear it.
Yep. I will wear shit all day.
A story that has lasted this long, and it's especially with the way we were talking about at the very beginning, having the child telling the story has made it more of something that makes it easier to share with people.
Yeah.
As the way that you did that, and it is just, yeah, you might get some bad reviews, but there are a lot of movie snobs out there who it's like, if there isn't Coppola level, blah 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 blah, or whatever, but like for people who enjoy a good story And like I said, I initially, when I saw just the title, I was like, oh God. But really,
I got a lot of groans at first. I did.
Yeah, we were just like, are you seriously making us watch this? And then it was just like, holy shit. Well, pun intended. This is a good movie. It's really fun.
Like I said, it was the heart, and it was the ability to connect with loved ones and new friends over this movie that had this really crazy, stupid, silly idea. But you watch it, and again, the dialogue, the music, the fact that you guys are going into this, making this movie, it's a movie about shit. You're playful about it. Like there's something special about it that I've not seen recaptured, like in this style of indie B horror. Like it's something special out there, man.
Well,
yeah. Well, here's a trick one of the things was Monsturd was really kind of originally written as a comedy with funny jokes and things like that. But the thing is all of us, our group of friends that were in this, right, are non-actors, right? So nobody has any experience. So when the dialogue got set, if you read it, you go, okay, that's a funny line, that's clever. But when it's said by a non-actor who doesn't know how to deliver the line, we started watching the dailies from some of that stuff, and I was like, going, dude, this is terrible, man. These jokes are not flying. So I told Dan, I was like, kill every fucking joke. And I go, the movie is the joke, right? Make it serious, right? Be deadpan. That was our thing. Be deadpan. Don't give away the joke.
I beg to differ on that.
All right.
We wrote the script fairly straight, but the joke that you really hated was, and the main difference from the shooting script to the realized script was that he was like Fred Krueger. So the shit monster came out and he would say puns and he constantly talked all the time. And Rick goes, this is terrible. And I remember you hated a couple of your jokes because there was a joke like Empire Strikes Back where there was a long turd and Rick started going dun 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 dun, and he was doing the Death Destroyer or Star Destroyer thing, and it just didn't work. And he's going, "Oh my God, we got to cut that joke. It's fucking terrible." So, but I mean, the script was written not jokey; it was written kind of deadpan, kind of tongue in cheek. But Rick, the main thing that Rick did not want was the Fred Krueger thing. Like he talked like Chucky and Fred Krueger, and he always had a pun, and he would come up and go blah blah blah. And Rick's going, "We got to cut that fucking shit." So he only talked a little bit at the end more when he became sentient,
right?
And communicated with Dr. Stern. That was the main joke. If you read the original script, it would have a bunch of Fred Krueger like puns where the shit talked.
But the main through line that we wanted to do was to make it a serious looking movie, because then the comedy is like, are these guys serious? Who would make a fucking serious movie about a fucking shit monster? So it doesn't look like a Mel Brooks shit monster movie, right? It's
right. Yeah,
like,
we didn't want to do that route.
No,
I love Mel Brooks, but we didn't want to do the hey.
We didn't want it to be like Airplane
out every 5 seconds.
Whatever.
Right. You wanted to make a shitty movie, not a corny movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Although.
Hey, now you're on the fun train.
Yeah. Oh, I live on it. I got dad jokes for days, man. That's what I do.
Dude,
why you love this
movie. Hunting him down. That was just, oh my God.
That was one of my better ones, I guess.
Put in some peanuts. Just say the nuts were creamy.
Oh, that was Pirro. You know about Mark Pirro, right? He's another filmmaker. The guy that played the sketch artist is another director that's done shitloads of other movies and kind of inspired us to do this. Like he did movies way before we did.
Yeah. Mark Pirro did a movie called Polish Vampire in Burbank. And he shot it in Super 8 for $2,500. And that guy has made thousands. I think he's made $500,000. And he goes, I've been on TV twice. Every time
you broadcast things. He was on like Nick at Night or
no, it was Gilbert Gottfried.
USA Up All Night. Yeah.
So
right before Joe Bob took over.
Aired that movie, he got $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, holy cow, man. So that was a $2,500 movie that went pretty far. And I mean, he bought a house in Van Nuys with the profits and things like that. So he He's doing pretty good, and he went on to make many other films. Somebody just did a documentary on him that'll be coming out soon. But anyway, we met Mark Pirro, and I did a story about him for a magazine called Digital Video, DV magazine, many years ago. And so we just kept in touch. And he was in San Francisco. He goes, "I'm going to be shooting some corporate video. You want to hang out?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." And then so I talked to Dan. And I said, "Dude, we got to get Mark Pirro in the movie." So he came over. We said, "You're the sketch artist." Told him lines, and he improvised some stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, man, that's awesome." And then he made a movie called Rectuma, and about a giant ass that takes over. And he wanted us. Yes. He brought us in as second unit directors. He was like, "Hey guys, come on in, bring your Monsturd shit together, and do some scenes for me." And so we did, and we ultimately ended up in his climax.
I remember I found out about Mark because late 80s, I was still pretty young. I was born in 82. We would just rent random shit that looked interesting from the video store. But sometimes Mom would go without us and just rent random weird shit and bring it home. And we'd come over from school. "Okay, we're watching movies." It was Curse of the Queer Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first of his movies that I ever saw. Right. And I fell in love with just his whole style, man. Like, I've seen everything he's ever done as well.
Yeah. He's a good guy, nice guy. I think he said he's going to retire now, though. I think after his last movie, he's like, "I think I'm kind of done." So.
Yeah, he keeps saying that, and then he makes another movie.
Right. Rectuma is actually the first thing that it suggests for more like this on IMDb.
I wonder why.
Yeah, and somebody in Japan made something called Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead.
Yep.
That's Japanese, right?
Yeah, Japanese.
Yeah, that's a Japanese story. Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's absolutely hilarious. So, fun fact: when you guys were on Netflix, it was also on Netflix. So the first time I saw it was right after watching Monsturd in the same day, when it hit Netflix. So it was a big deal on there for a while, and that was like the double feature. Was that movie and your movie? Like that was everybody on message boards were watching them together at the same time. It was crazy.
Hey, Dan, have you seen it?
I have
not. It might be on Tubi
many times.
I've just kind of stayed away from it or whatever, but I do.
Well, maybe next time we hang out, we should watch that one.
All right.
It's very hilarious. It's like the absurdist Japanese humor side of horror. Like it's
House or one of those wacko fucking things.
And then some. Yeah.
Tokyo Gore Police.
A little bit closer to that, I'd say. A little bit closer to the ridiculousness of Tokyo Gore Police, probably. But yeah, we go ahead.
Is there any? I don't know how long the show is. Are there any other questions from anybody or?
You guys got anything?
I actually wanted to go back. We were talking about before, if you don't mind. Going away from the movie a second, but we were talking about before we went live. Dan, your book. I found some pictures, and I just was, since you said that you'd written some other stuff. I was going to show the pictures. Could you give us just a brief description of since we're all about storytelling, what the book was about? And this was.
Okay. This is one that I haven't published. I did 2 books, one of which was a supposedly true crime book. And these were mugshot histories of the criminals that. So this was the second. This is another pandemic thing. So first I did the town of Dunwich, and then I did a fake true crime book about. It was called, I forget what the fuck it was called. I never published it. It was kind of ready to publish, and then I just ran out of steam. But it was a fake true crime book about crime in the early 20th century. So I got my friends to all send mug shots, and I would send them period costumes, and they'd give me a side profile, a front profile. Then I'd and then I would age the footage, and then I would write a history of what these people were convicted of. So it was like flashers and child eaters, and like Albert Fish kind of stuff. And so I don't know if you guys know, but I've written a couple novels too. I've got like several books out, but those are pictorial books. So it's mainly driven by pictures and text. It's not like a through actual fictional novel, which I've actually done a few of those. But
very cool.
So I appreciate the writer angle on you guys.
Oh yeah, seriously.
Stefan, yes, you did. You got here, yes, and you got to get your one.
That's just one fun for the day. But again, we just want to say thank you to you guys so much. Thank you, Rick, for reaching out. Like months back when we were kicking around the idea of doing a show for film, when you guys, reached out to us, that was like a perfect moment for us because we were going through a lot of changes in our network, still trying to figure out what it meant to run a network and geeking out about everything, flipping out about 50,000 things behind the scenes. And that gave us kind of a kick to kind of bring this show back around. And I always knew you were going to be episode number 2 because I felt like there was no other way to honor you guys than to make that.
Number two.
It's even numbered differently than our usual episodes, so that it is episode number 2 instead of just episode 2.
Yes.
So.
Well, we appreciate you reaching out and having us on. Dan and I love waxing on the old stuff. We don't really talk about it too much because it's been out for 21 years now. So it's nice to be. It feels fresh and new to chat with you guys.
It's nice that anyone gives a shit. Again,
you got me.
Well, I just want to tell you that my daughter loves your movie, and this is going to be something that she keeps on going on and on through her life and tries convincing people that they need to give a good look at it. So it will probably go on for 20 more years, no problem. And she's actually made the comment, hey, can I wear a poop monster costume?
And what was your response to that?
Well, you work out in the field with the corn, so we would have to stick some corn in it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think I have buried somewhere old memorabilia. So if you just send us your address, we'll send your daughter some signed stuff or something.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. She'll love that.
She would think that was the best thing in the world. She'd be jumping up and down.
Just email us. I've got stuff buried that we had people sign. We had the whole cast sign a bunch of crap, and I probably have, a pun again. I have it in my closet somewhere buried, and I can dig it out. And, your daughter's been a big supporter of ours, and we love our supporters.
She is a small, big supporter.
She's the future of Monsturd. So.
Yeah, because if you think about it, Monsturd really is a kid's movie. It's pretty tame, except for some profanity.
Kids love this movie.
Really not very much blood in it.
Kids
no
love
nudity. Yeah, kids do. I find there are a lot of kids that like this one.
Sorry. Trying to delete it.
Someone is giving us their WhatsApp number for some reason. All right, thank you. We have your WhatsApp number. We'll definitely not use that in the future. I'm not even sure what to do with WhatsApp numbers, to be completely honest with you. I know it's a thing, but I don't pay that much attention these days. But definitely, like I said earlier,
she does all of our media.
Yeah. I call her Saint Fridays, all our social media, even my personal social media for my writing stuff, Dell's personal social media, Facor's social media. She does everything, so we don't have to.
Which means we're completely stupid when it comes to any of the new things.
All I know about TikTok is that my daughter went through a phase where every time you go through a grocery store, she'd have to stop and put her phone in something in the freezer aisle so she could stand on the other side of the cooler and do dances and sing songs. And that's most of what I know about TikTok, and probably why I don't really like TikTok.
I don't do TikTok.
I just wanted some frozen peas, and I was in the freezer aisle for 3 hours so she could film a video.
I use TikTok to promote the rest of the platforms.
Oh, it's a useful tool. I just do not understand.
I use all the tools.
So, guys, where do you like people to find you? And we didn't get social media ahead of time, but we will be adding all of your links up on the YouTube when this is done. But where do you like people to reach out to you? Where are you active at? And what upcoming things do you have that you'd like to promote?
Oh well, we have Monsturd has its own Facebook page. That's a good place. We check that. If anybody wants to drop us a line, say hi or something, that's cool.
I have a website, but I couldn't tell you the address off the top of my head. I can, I could send it to you. And you guys can. It's in my email signature, but I don't. It's like a Weebly.
Yeah, we have a 4321 Films website, but don't send anybody there.
That is antiquated.
Dude, that website was built 20 years ago when, whatever.
For the movie.
It has not been updated in like 20 years. So all the links on it are broken. It just looks bad. That's my to-do list as we start to gear up, producing the next flick. It's, we're going to get this, we'll get the site back and running, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're both trying to get. I'm making a movie. Rick's gonna get one in production, and so we don't really have anything to promote. I mean, I have books and all that crap, but I'm not gonna throw that shit out right now.
You do want to read them though.
We'll put up some Amazon links or something for you.
It's all on my website. There are links to my books and all that stuff and our movies on my website that you can click on. I think they're still active and everything. I'm updating it with my movie production stills and stuff. So I still keep active on that. So I think there's links to all of that stuff on there, most of it.
Okay.
So if we can, you can email us after the show and we can.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely get all those from you guys. And like Rick, a couple months from now, you're going to get a message from me, an email, and it's just going to see what's going on with number 2, man.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll see. Next time I hang with Dan. All right.
Well, you did last time. I don't know why you'd like it now. No, it's still as bad as before.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you having us on.
We'll you.
Stick around and after you do your closing thing.
Definitely.
Yes.
All right. Where can we find you? Where can we find you, Pyle?
You can find me here on the Elliott Network. You can find me on TikTok. Well, apparently, that's a thing that a lot of people don't do anymore. And you can find me on Facebook at Pyle Hazard.
All right. All right. Over to you, Del.
You can find me on Facebook at Kari, Kari Sanders. If you see this, that is me. My links to everything Owlite, the Dorkening Network, my author page, every other thing I have is on there. And most of the time, if you contact me, you will get Jenny. And she will either let me know that you're trying to talk to me, or she will just pretend to be me, because she's really good at that. She actually is all of us. We are one. It's kind of this weird conglomeration we have. I'm also, besides all the things on Owlite, I am over on Splash Pages on the Dorkening every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, which always throws me off. And this Tuesday, we're going to have on female comic creator Gazelle Omar. So she has been writing some indie stuff, and it's up and coming, powerful women kind of stuff, like Pimp Killer and 357 Magnum Opus. I thought that one was really clever. So come check us out then. And over to you.
Over to you, Friday.
I am everywhere. I'm here on Owlite. I'm on Fakor. I'm at Friday with the Library in the Blue Box. And if you'd actually like to read my books, come find me at Jennifer Elliott, which is my author page. And I like to pretend I'm all of these people.
Yeah.
Not Rick and Dan, but all the people here.
That'll be next week.
Oh, yeah. You can find everything I've ever done at either raztslasher.com or Raz T Slasher IMDb. You can just type in Raz T Slasher everywhere, and you'll probably talk to Jenny. Fun fact, Jenny is the #1 Raz T Slasher cosplayer in the universe. Congratulations. I appreciate that. Otherwise, tomorrow morning, you can find me at your mom's house. Great pancakes. I'm there for the pancakes. And just remember, everybody, the Monsturd was inside of you all along. Good night, everybody.
Bye.